For those of you guys who don't know me, I'm Zach. I'm the community slash developer manager organizer here. So I'm looking forward to meeting you if I haven't. To those of you I know, hello again. It's great to see you. Happy New Year. It's going to be a really quick thing from our side, and then we'll dive right into the Q&A. We're still getting a lot of the plans for 2024 kind of minted, and we'll share those as they develop. But rather than give you guys something half-baked, we're going to kind of hold off on releasing anything, calendar-wise, so we have more information. But I did want to kind of take a minute to step back and share some stats with you guys about 2023. It's hard to remember for me personally, but we started this whole thing in June, so it's like not even a year old. Bristlemouth is as a public thing, as a thing, a collaborative thing, isn't even a year old. We we we're not really sure, how you're supposed to look at 6 months, right, with this, but I'm really, really thrilled about where we are, and it feels really important to me, so it's worth mentioning. We are up to 50 pioneers, so there's a few members of the Pioneer program here, so thank you guys for signing up. We're up to about 50, or exactly 50, which is a huge milestone for us. That's a significant number of folks that are hopefully going to get their hands dirty, and based on a lot of I saw every application that came in, and based on a lot of those applications, this is just a fantastic group of people doing some really cool things, and I look forward to sharing and hearing about how this developed. There's about 125 active users on the forum. For a while, there's a bit of an echo chamber with just a couple of us, but we're starting to get some more folks on there. So thank you to everyone who's active there, and to those of you guys who are kind of just lurking. That's great. Just glad to have you. And then another stat that's really cool to me is I think this was mid-December, so maybe a little bit more than this now, but 75 clones of the repo. So that's kind of cool, right? So we've got some folks that are pulling the files down, and hopefully getting through the user guides with them, and hopefully we'll see some of those numbers climb up throughout the year. All this is to say, this is kind of a small and humble beginning, and kind of two parts that I want to leave you with is, one, it's a small community. There's not that many of us right now. And so, please be patient with each other and with us as we, kind of work through some of these, this kind of early phase. And then the other part of that, it's really exciting because, I mean, everybody is important right now, like truly, truly. So it's kind of a fun time that we get to swing a lot of influence over what happens and where things go, and where these conversations lead. So I hope you're enjoying that as much as I am. Anyway, there's a forum post that I just put up yesterday, which is kind of a call to action for leaving some feedback on what types of webinars, demos, tutorials, documentation that you'd like to see. The team members and I and some of the community members are kind of prioritizing the different things that we could do early in Q1 and Q2. And a lot of those things need to be triggered by need, right? So rather than us just decide what we think everyone needs, we wanted to open that up. So if you haven't already, or if you've got the forum open right now, head over to that post and just kind of reply with your, oh man, I'd really love to see, XYZ, or, I imagine I'll struggle with, deployments, and different flotation and weights, or it's really blue sky there. So please leave some feedback on what you'd like to see, and we'll leave some time at the end of this conversation as well for that, if you want us to transmit those ideas to the team from through here. So anyway, I'm going to hand it over to Russ. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to meet Russ yet. He is a member of our software engineering team, our firmware team, and he's been with us for over a year. We've been with the project for over a year now. He's super knowledgeable, super helpful, and we're definitely happy to have him here, and hopefully he can help us answer some questions at the end. But I'm going to turn it over to him to give us kind of an update on Bristlemouth. So thank you guys, and thank you, Russ, for coming in.
Right, thanks for the intro, Zach. Happy New Year, everyone. So since the last webinar, kind of the big news that we've been working on our end is we shipped our first Bristlemouth product, which is a subsurface current meter, single point current meter sensor. So that's kind of been, I would say, the primary effort from kind of November, December, January. And that's some big, kind of was a big effort. Kind of to go along with that, we've been doing a lot of just platform stability improvements to kind of robustify and make our sensors and sensor suite a little bit more stable. And we've also begun adding on the server side support for Bristlemouth. So thing like our essentially sensor data will eventually become available over the SOFAR Ocean API. So enabling kind of that remote connectivity and visualization side of things for the Bristlemouth sensors, which is really exciting. Over the next couple of months, we'll be focusing on porting a couple more sensors into the Bristlemouth ecosystem. I think tentatively subsurface temperature and pressure modules. So be on the lookout for those. And we'll be working as well on some of the core Bristlemouth protocol code to kind of enable some features on the user side, such as request reply for certain messages and so on and so forth. We will probably leave some updates in the forum regarding kind of the code features as we tag releases and such. So please be on the lookout for that. And yeah, hope to be able to answer some questions live today. But yeah, as always, if I don't if I can't answer them in the moment or something like that, we'll try to follow up on the forum or and please check out the BM protocol GitHub repository for kind of the latest and greatest on the software firmware front. All right, back to you, Zach.
Awesome. Thanks, Russ. That's some fun stuff happening there. Yeah, just to contextualize a little bit of that. Yeah, SOFAR is going through and converting all of their hardware over to Bristlemouth so that it's all compatible with some of the work that you guys are doing on as pioneers and on your own system. So it's kind of piecemeal, and that's really exciting. You guys got your first piece of hardware out. That's great. I know you've been working really hard on them. Let's switch over to Q&A. We've got roughly 15 minutes here. We will do our best to get to everybody. If we can't get to everybody, just throw your question in the form. We'll take care of it there. And like Russ said, if you stump us, which is highly likely, we can answer you in asynchronously as well. So Rebecca, do you think you can get us set up with the Q&A? And oh, the other thing is, if you don't want to raise your hand or unmute and just go for it, you can also type into the Q&A box in Zoom as well. So whatever you're most comfortable with. Looks like Mark has a question there. Mark, good to see you.
Hi,
How's it
thanks,
going?
guys. Nice to see you. We just had a great conversation yesterday with Blue IQ and the Open Ear folks with their North Atlantic right well detector, and we're going to be doing some beta testing for them. But getting back to our spotter plans, we're waiting on pins and needles for the government of Curacao to give us permission to deploy the spotter at the proposed future site of the Proteus underwater laboratory that Fabien Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau's grandson, is behind. As usual, there's lots of red tape, and we're still hoping that we're going to get the spotter down there at the end of the month. And we'd already talked via email about the need to use Iridium because of the two carriers on the island, not yet part of your eSIM
That's
thing.
right. Yeah.
And that's fine. We can handle that. I had been talking though to Blue IQ because we've already got a hydrophone array consisting of 8 hydrophones that are just logging on the seafloor at 2 different sites there right now to characterize the soundscapes. And the Cousteau team was saying, hey, is there any way we could stream live audio through the spotter so that we could do snippets? So my question is this. I actually discussed this with the Blue IQ folks because they've already done an instance of using spotter with their SWAP-C hydrophone. And they said, well, we're set up to do detections using edge computing based on neural network classification of the sounds we hear. And that's what we want to do long term ourselves at the Proteus space station is do exactly that. But near term, there is this potential outreach thing. So has anybody been asking questions about how would you do a snippet like a .wav file of some sound and shipping it out periodically? Maybe, this probably work much better on cell phone rather than Iridium, but what are your thoughts on that? Just hearing that is a potential cool thing that might generate public interest in the Proteus station as well as your hardware software.
Yeah, very cool. Excellent question. Yeah, just to repeat and condense that. Yeah, the for the folks wondering, yeah, do go check out the Proteus lab website. Super cool. Yeah, so the question I think is how do we stream raw audio over Bristlemouth via the spotter? Yeah, so there's a couple of bottlenecks there. The folks over at Blue IQ are really accurate in saying that we want to try to use, just high level, we want to try to use edge computing to send a much smaller, much more digested or much more processed file. The reason generally for that is because the telemetry, so that's, from device to space to you guys again, is a big bottleneck. So for example, if you're using Iridium, you can imagine the costs of that could get very, very expensive if you're transmitting larger files, right? And then within that, though, there's some interesting things too, which is like, well, okay, we know that, but we also want to transmit live audio. So I'll just address that from like a bandwidth perspective. Yeah, if you are able to identify, obviously just raw streaming constant audio file, like is going to get really expensive without cell connection. I think if you guys had LTE on the site, that would alleviate that a lot. I don't know that you'd run into any limitations there. The other thing is the way that the telemetry works on the spotter is not kind of open port raw streaming as it would be from like Netflix to your computer or whatever. It would be you'd have to package those files up, like you said, in like a .wav or other format. From there, I don't know that we have an FTP or like a file transfer protocol set up for Spotter yet. I think that's something that would be interesting to either pull something off the shelf and adapt for Bristlemouth, or something that maybe is to come in a future release. Might turn that over to Russ. Have you guys?
Yeah,
Have you guys
that was
talked
my
about?
follow-up question was just file transfers from.
Yeah, because I know there's a maximum size limit. Like right now, we're transmitting binary or hex strings, right? So if you can
Sure.
convert the WAV file and reconstruct it on the other side, but that's probably the least elegant way of doing that. But I don't know, Russ, have you guys talked about that at all over in the firmware team?
Yeah, that's a great question. Short answer is it's on the list. We don't have it today. We have the ability to send over the air firmware updates, which are like large files that go and update our spotter and over cellular. But there's some work to be done on the device side to enable kind of like a generic file transfer type protocol.
Okay, can I ask a quick follow-up question that may be of interest to the people online? If I've got an instrument like a water quality sensor or a light sensor or something that's barfing out strings over RS-232, RS-485, whatever, what getting back to bottlenecks using LTE, for example, I saw the instantiation of the code for like doing it RS-232. That was very helpful to see that on the developer forum. What's the fastest you could reasonably be expected to be, dumping strings through the hex bottleneck and receiving telemetry on the other side when we're just sending messages as opposed to trying to do files.
Yeah, there's a couple of spots. We'll hit some road bumps. I'll talk about the telemetry one first because it's really the only answer I know, and I'll turn it over to Russ for the lower level stuff. But yeah, so right now the spotter, using the spotter as telemetry limits you to, I think, I would say 5-minute updates, and that's kind of like a special case that we enable for certain users. It can be a little tricky because it'll be like 8 minutes sometimes, and 3 minutes some other times. Like it's a little 10 or 15 minutes seems to be more regular. And this, I believe, is based on a limitation of just kind of how the data pipeline and ingestion works. So that's kind of your like update, like message received bottleneck, which I think for water quality is not unless you're monitoring some sort of industrial process, that high frequency update rate for messages coming back to you probably isn't necessary. Because what you can do is you can do like 30-second minute samples and then group 20 minutes of that or 30 minutes of that or an hour of that together and then transmit that. And then that will allow you to have
Okay,
continuous
sure.
high frequency data, higher
Yep.
frequency data. The other bottleneck is actually like how fast can you send data over the bus? I might turn that over to Russ to help me out with.
Sure. I think the bus, I can follow up on the forum if this is correct, but I think RS-232 is about 1 MB or one megabits per second upper limit. And I think towards the upper limit, things kind of get a little hairy too. So it's a little, but yeah, I'm happy to dive in on if you're trying to explore kind of high throughput on the physical layer.
No, it's actually more like Zach said, we would most likely be grouping things and doing it every half hour to an hour. That would be, we want to catch internal wave events at this site, which do have sharp rise times measured in, a minute or two. But again, if we sample at a intelligent interval and then package things, I think we'll be able to see the ramps that we're after at
Oh,
the future
definitely.
previous site. Anyway, thank you both for answering that, and I'll stop hogging now.
Yeah, great. No, thank you so much for the question there, Mark. Yeah, so we run the RBR pressure sensor, for example, is at 2 hertz, right? So we're gathering data at 2 hertz. We're running a duty cycle of like 50%. So we'll do 2 hertz for like 15 seconds or 30 seconds or something like that. So definitely within our capability and data pipeline capability for most water quality. I think that gets trickier with more near real-time applications. So yeah, let's move on. I saw there was a question in the Q&A section from Shinping. Hey, good to see you, by the way. Hope all is well. Happy New Year. Yeah, so any update of the integrating the RS-232 to so far? Yeah, 100, actually a lot of updates since we last talked. I'm so glad you asked that question. We have published and finished our RS-232 integration example. That is on, I think that we're calling it like guide 6 spiritually, but it's really just the first of, we hope, many um, uh, hardware integration examples. You could pull that file and you could pull that example and probably get 90% of what you need to go with the concerto. I recall from our conversations with RBR that the concerto is similar to the Coda 3, and the Coda 3 is what we use in that example. So you'll be able to like use most of that. And I think it even has some of the averaging and statistics in there as well. So you should be able to use that to get pretty much everywhere you need to be. For the physical connector, there's still this off size end cap. Like there's the Bristlemouth side and then there's the blank side. We'll just add a bulkhead connector there. And if either RBR or I think I have the part number for that. I can share that with you if you would like. But yeah, I just put a bulkhead connector there and maybe backfill it with epoxy to keep it double waterproof, and you should be good to go. So that seems a lot less hard than starting from scratch. So I'm happy to say that we're there. Let me know if that didn't answer your question.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. And by the way, Alberto, he's online. He's my new student, and he'll be working on this project.
Awesome. Yeah, and you guys
Thanks.
are at what is it? Flower Banks?
Frog Island Banks National Marine Sanctuary.
Yes. Super
Thank you.
excited with some of the work that's going on down there. Great to hear from
Yep.
you. Adu asked a question. Are there any updates integrating MicroPython? Yeah, that is also a question I have for Russ. Hey, Russ, do you guys know? C is can be a little tricky for folks.
Yeah. It's definitely on the list. I think internally we're working on, I guess, the order of operations of how to integrate that. I will say, if you are feeling particularly adventurous, there is a build flag that gives you a very lightweight MicroPython REPL that you can use through the CLI on the spotter side, or actually, sorry, not on the spotter side, on the on your Bristlemouth dev kit. Very experimental though, so I would definitely check out a clean branch and do everything kind of in a sandboxed environment before you start experimenting. So it's the kind of this, I would say the stubs are there, but there's a lot of work to be done on the to make it kind of more easily adoptable.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Russ. Adu, yeah, I'm super excited about MicroPython. There's another big feature like Bristlemouth serial, which is a library that we're hoping will enable using coprocessors like the Arduino or Raspberry Pi or Jetson or Edison or whatever. So these are big pieces, and I was kind of hoping to have that kind of ready to show a roadmap for you guys today, but we're gonna need some more time to kind of prioritize and time box those for everybody. But like most things in collaborative development, parts of those things are there, and if folks want to work on those things or kind of drive those things forward, feel free to engage directly with the dev team over GitHub or the forum and say, hey, like I'm feeling a little adventurous, like Russ said, and I'd like to push forward. Don't be shy about that. That's very helpful and really something we can do. You did have a follow-on question. This is actually a pretty good question as well. So thanks for that, Adu. How do you send dummy data? Like I don't have an RVR sensor lying around. Like how do I just stream data? The dev kit has an onboard humidity sensor that's pretty good for that. I think there might also be a temperature sensor, but you can, I think in one of the guides, you're actually reading that. So I would start there just because it's always on and it's in the tube. And then the other part of that is capturing that data. So you could grab that through the SOFAR API via curl commands. Tim Johnson, who's on the line, can help you with that. He's learned a lot about that and is happy to help. And then there's also that Bristlemouth Aqualink tool that I think it's bristlemouth.aqualink.org that they wrote, which is a little GUI user interface that you can pull data back from the API. So that could help show folks kind of what you're talking about and send it over here and then see it show up, a few minutes later over here and that kind of thing. Let me know if I didn't answer either of your questions or you have a follow along. I think we're got like roughly a minute left. So happy
yeah. I don't want to take up too much time. Thanks for addressing that. So for these like kind of small troubleshooting issues, is there someone in particular should talk to Tim about like why I can't see data on the Aqualink tool, or like if the API isn't working for that
definitely.
humidity sensor and stuff?
Yeah, so I'd say probably just drop the question on the forum, and
Okay.
we'll even if it seems small, it's highly likely that someone else is running into that or will. So go ahead and drop it on the forum, and then one of us will usually grab it within minutes. We're really excited to help out with this. So, but yeah, for API questions, Tim Johnson will probably jump on that. But rather, I'd rather just post that in the general forum so other folks can benefit from any of the information that's there. And then
Cool.
as you get to know some of us, don't hesitate to reach out directly, but also if it is something technical, it's highly likely that someone else could benefit from that answer. So we like to have that stuff in the open as much as possible. So we're kind of up on time here. I may have seen another hand up at some point, so I'm sorry if I missed that. Please let me know if you do have any questions. We will be, if you do have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the forum or just send us a note. We'll sort it out. And then we will be putting the recording of this into the forum post that announced this event. And so in typical fashion, we will be doing that. So last thing I'll leave you guys with is please do head over to the forum and reply to the request for different guides or tutorials or webinars or topics to cover. Drop your suggestions there. Looking forward to hearing what some of your needs are. And again, we're all here to help. So that could be lightweight, as simple as answering technical questions. That could also be pretty intense, getting together, doing some design reviews. All of that is above board, and we're excited to do that. So looking forward to hearing more about the projects as they go, and looking forward to 2024. We'll be scheduling another one of these probably about a month from now, and in that, hopefully, we have a little more concrete future stuff to tease you guys with. But in the meantime, the best way to get some of that stuff prioritized is to let us know you need it, or let us know you want to work on it. Even better. So please hit us up. Thank you guys so much. Happy New Year, and see you on the forum or GitHub.
Cool. Thanks, you guys. I'll be yeah, I'll turn off the recording and get that all shipped out. Thanks so much for helping.
Thank you so much. See you later.
See you later. Bye, guys.